Bracha Goetz, wellness expert who has joyfully overcome her food addiction to then inspire as she authors over 41 books that help children's souls shine and a candid memoir for our adults about overcoming food addiction joyfully and spiritually. Continues to do her inner work, and the number one thing that resonates with me with Bracha is our shared belief on kindness being an important component of bringing in fulfillment. Bracha, thank you so much for joining me on Creating Kinder Content, and I cannot wait for my audience to get to know you and all the work that you have been up to. But before we get into the details, can I please request you to introduce yourself to my audience in 3 words that you would like for them to know you as?
Okay, the 3 words I would pick is filled with gratitude.
I am copying that answer. I love that. And Bracha, I really want to know. You're probably, I don't know if it's a childhood experience. I don't know if that's how you've been raised, or if it's been a part of your inner work. But gratitude is just one of those things that we're not taught in school, mostly. Where did it come to you?
Oh, that's such a good question. One of my books is dedicated to my father. I say that he gave me the gift of happiness because really the secret to happiness is gratitude. That's really what it boils down to. But there was a point in my life when I wasn't happy. So my father was a person who lived with very low expectations. When you have low expectations, you're just about delighted with everything that happens. That's how he was throughout his life. But at some point in my life, I wasn't that happy. And I tried to fill up the emptiness by, well, what gives immediate gratification? One of those things is food. And people find lots of different ways to do that. But that's a very common one because it gives you immediate pleasure. So I had to learn what brings lasting pleasure in life. I had to relearn that as I got older. And that was a big joy to finally understand that gratitude changes everything.
That is very strong. Congratulations on firstly recognizing that food was becoming an addiction, and then having the strength to fight it, because I think that is so much courage. Like, that effort must have been upward. But I'm so excited to know that you have overcome this. And now I also want to sort of talk about that moment where I'm sorry if I'm taking you back to a bad memory, but it's important for our listeners. Where did you recognize that now you were addicted to this and this was a problem and that you wanted to fix it?
What I was doing was fluctuating between restrictive dieting, trying to be thin, and then uncontrollable binges, which were so horrible. You felt completely out of control. And nothing was ever enough. You know, after you finished the container of ice cream, you could have a whole bag of chocolate chip cookies. It didn't matter. It had nothing to do with being physically hungry. It's trying to fill the emptiness. Instead, what happens is that hole gets deeper and bigger. After you've eaten all these things, which brings immediate pleasure, the lasting effect is a sad feeling, an even emptier feeling. So I became aware of, for sure, my behaviors became more and more bizarre. And when you have an addiction, you're doing it in secret. Nobody knows that you're doing it. So you're suffering and people outside can't even tell what you're going through. You create your own prison. The walls in the prison are made of your own thoughts.
Yeah, amazing. I like how little words you're using to sort of express some of the most common concerns in the world that we live in, especially with social media, body shaming, not being confident of our bodies that we live in, something that we don't talk about at all because these are the temples we're given and this is all that we have to take care of. Really, that's our job, number one, but we're not taught how to do it. The other thing is also, I think the fact that you're honest enough to share, like you have done so many books as well, is that one of the reasons of creating this podcast was also that a lot of us have our own prisons, and we don't even recognize that it's a prison. So you've been able to accomplish that, but also, that space where you're trying to seek the door, and now you're at the edge of the door of the prison, and before you get onto a healthy journey, there's that little gap that keeps sort of sucking you back in. Is there a piece of advice with the experience that you have for our audience who is trying to break that prison and cover it with gratitude? What is it that one can talk to themselves about? What is it that you spoke to yourself with? And just be able to get to the other side. Just get to the other side. The journey then can start.
Exactly. Why do we overeat? From a sense of scarcity. There's not enough pleasure in my life. Here, this brings me immediate pleasure. Why not? Keep going, because it's going to end. What brings lasting pleasure? That's what we have to realize. There is no scarcity. When we recognize that there's an abundance of pleasure in the world, that changes our whole perspective, because we don't think so. We think there's not enough pleasure in my life. When I learned about the pleasure ladder, this is something based on ancient mystical wisdom, but it's timeless, totally timeless. So the pleasure ladder, the lowest level are all the natural physical pleasures in this world. They were designed to bring us lasting pleasure. How? When we experience them with gratitude. Each level, there's 5 levels to the pleasure ladder. It corresponds to our fingers. We have the capacity to bring pleasure into our life. It's in our hands. Totally empowering. And the 5 levels also correspond to the 5 levels of the human soul. So this is universal. The lowest level is the part of the soul connected to the body. When we experience these physical pleasures with gratitude, it uplifts both our body and our soul. So when we eat an orange,
very well prepared.
When we experience this orange with our mindful gratitude, it becomes both a physical nurturing and a spiritual nurturing. I love the orange because here it comes individually wrapped in this peel, which keeps the juiciness in for months. It's amazing. And you notice how also it's bright orange, but when it's not ready for us, it's green. It's camouflaged in with the leaves like the other fruit. And when it's ready for us, it becomes bright and beautiful. I'm ready. It's calling to us. So this is how it works. And then all our senses are involved in eating this. It's designed that way to be a totally pleasurable experience. When we finish eating it, there are the seeds, these seeds of infinity. They become infinite number of trees, infinite number of oranges. It's an incredible experience. You compare that to an orange flavored tangy taffy. When you throw away even the wrapper pollutes the environment, and it causes 2 seconds of pleasure while it's in your mouth, and then it just harms your body. Totally different. These natural foods are designed to be delicious and nutritious, and junk is designed to be delicious and addictive. Totally different types of substances. So these are the things that elevate us. Being in nature, natural foods, music, exercise, dancing, yoga, and all these things, they elevate both our bodies and our souls. And that's just the lowest level. So going up from there is love, focusing on the virtues of another. The person doesn't even have to be there. In prison, just thinking about somebody that once did a kindness, a grandmother, elevates the person to become a better person. And this is the level of this podcast, is meaning doing a kindness for another. It takes us out of that state of disconnection, of estrangement that we feel when we're involved in our addiction, anxiety, depression. And when we do something for someone else, it uplifts our soul to the 3rd highest level. I was on another show, and I got up to that level, and the person said the other day He had 2 slices of pizza, and he was about to plow through the rest of the box by himself, feeling lonely. And his neighbor knocks on his door, and he helps his neighbor for 2 minutes. He comes back. He doesn't want the pizza anymore. Puts the rest in the fridge. He's filled up. He has filled up with gratitude. Gratitude that he could help somebody else. This is what it does to us. It fills us up so that our souls can shine. And then the highest 2 levels is creativity. When we put a unique part of ourselves into the world, we don't feel like sleeping or eating when we're doing something creative. The highest of all is transcendence. When we recognize we're all connected, we're all one, we're all connected to the same source energy. We actually all share the same soul, just different aspects of it. So when we recognize these things, these are things that bring connection to our life. They bring a sense of unity. This is how we fill our lives with pleasure, pour in the joy, pour in the gratitude, and there's no space left for the addictions. You'll see, you do this more and more. You eat an orange, it starts very small. When you feel like overeating, you think, is it my body that's hungry or my soul? Pour in the joy, pour in the gratitude, and you'll see that the big bag of potato chips will stop calling your name right that moment.
I am so impressed, and I am literally soaking in all your energy. I'm literally feeling like I'm taking it all away from you, and I don't want to leave you depleted, so I'm going to try and give back so I can pour back in. But I love the energy you're bringing to this, so thank you. This is really exciting. So those 5 steps, and safe to say that one of the first steps to being grateful or practicing gratitude is it safe to say recognize that you are your first job. So every time you reach out to food or any kind of pleasure, it comes from nature, it doesn't come from greed, and anything that makes you addicted too soon for something is bad for you, right?
Yes, the junk, we can't even call it food because it doesn't help us to grow. It doesn't help our bodies to function well. That's what food really is. It's junk that, like you say, is designed out of greed. But like these natural foods, they're designed with infinite loving kindness and infinite intelligence to help our bodies. This is like medicine for us, the real medicine, the way we're meant to be nurtured. And when we don't feel worthy, we stuff ourselves with all kinds of junk. People will say, "Oh, I deserve all this, You don't deserve junk. You're an amazing person, and inside of every human being is infinite beauty, wisdom, grace. We just need to connect with that. It's the natural things in life that help us reconnect, recognize that we are being compassionately loved in this world. We were put in an amazing garden. We forget that, and we make things more complicated. That's why I love sharing this with children, getting them on this course from the beginning of life so they can recognize the tools for happiness is filling up on gratitude and recognizing the abundance of joy that you can pour into your life.
Absolutely. I am so grateful for you for doing this, because like I said at the start of the series, where schools are not teaching this, and by the time we learn this in our lives, we've already lost such a large chunk that we're not really experiencing the journey. We're just in a race, right? So I think this is great information that you've put out. Now, if there was Bracha, an incident or an experience of a random act of kindness that anybody's ever done for you, or that has had a significant impact on your life, other than your father, of course, you've said, I think the dads are the best, aren't they? They're like the best, but is there anything else that you remember feeling like you mattered so much to this person in that moment that you want to continue doing this to anybody? Like anybody you find, you're like, yeah, I want to make you feel like that.
I find that when we give ourselves the self-care that we need, we are overflowing with kindness that we share with other people, and then they share it back to us. When we don't feel that desperation feeling, that sense of scarcity makes us feel like there's a scarcity of kindness in the world. But as we experience it, even from an orange, it's so funny, as we experience this kindness, we start to overflow. We recognize all the loving kindness we are getting in our lives. Then we hold the door open for somebody behind us. We smile at people more. We're spreading kindness. One of my children's books is called Because of a Smile. It's about how one child sharing with another child inspired other children, who inspired other adults that were watching, and it just goes spreading around the whole world. That's how kindness goes. It just keeps going. And we experience that every single day if our eyes are open to it.
Yeah.
And what opens our eyes to it really is recognizing the kindness in our natural world, and then just moving up the pleasure ladder. Then we notice it in other people. Then we focus on their virtues. Then we can do kindness ourselves. So yeah, just practice gratitude with the smallest things in life. Really, the pandemic, it taught us that we could lose everything in a moment. It taught us to be grateful for breathing, for hugs, for gatherings of people, things we took for granted before.
Yeah.
Now we can recognize how valuable each thing is in our life.
Yeah, and I think it's a great add-on because I think all of us are sort of forgetting about the pandemic. But I think the one thing that we sort of also learned was learning to be patient with people who we live with, because it's something that we take for granted. Recognizing that growth is really important. And I think one thing that I'm really grateful for, and I think I'm recognizing, or I'm being informed, that was a lot of uphill task for a lot of people, which kind of did make me sad, was realizing the family that I'm in, we're all different ages. We all have our own journeys, and we all are on our own paths. But we still love being with each other, which probably means we're, giving an energy exchange to each other, where we're all grateful for each other. And every morning we're, looking forward to having people around us again and sharing nothingness with, which I think is so underrated. But yeah, I think, the pandemic, I think, did really well for a lot of us. No, but that's great. Thanks for bringing that one up. Also, it's not something that I have on my list at the moment, but for you particularly, because of the conversation, I also wanted to learn, because you're doing really well on the content, that obviously you're human and you're on this journey that you're practicing, but there could be days where you're just like, I don't understand this. Like, for our audience my age who are starting on the journey, where we're like, yeah, we're grateful, but some days you're just like, does this even work? Like, we're grateful, we're very grateful, but this is not going the way I want it to go, or something's not working out for me, and like you suddenly sort of slip back into the prison, right? What would be your advice for a moment like that?
One thing we have is, what is the difference between a fake diamond and a real diamond? How could you tell the difference between them? A real diamond has flaws. It's not like everything's just hunky-dory. This world is filled with challenges. Every day there are challenges. But the thing that changed my life was recognizing that there's an ultimate good design to all this, that this is not just random, that there's an ultimate good purpose to everything, even cruelty that we see. We can see what seems like great injustice. We see all these things, and they exist here. It's not like the world was designed to be unjust. No, but people do unjust things. People do cruel things. And we are here to make this world a better place. That's what we're here to do. So yes, we can be grateful, and we can still work to make this a better world. One thing does not cancel out the other. In other words, and that helps our souls to shine even more as we make this world better, as we help other souls to shine, as we spread more kindness. This is our purpose for being here. There's another line I love. Here is a test to find out if your mission on earth is completed. If you're alive, it isn't. We have a purpose for being here. This is not perfect as it is.
Yeah.
And we are here to pull up those sparks, bring out the spiritual energy that's in everything and help it to shine.
Oh, amazing. And before we move into my next segment, I also wanted to learn, when you say, I mean, of course, there are two sides to all the good things and the bad things, and sometimes we don't understand what's going on. But you have gone from being, I'm not going to say cruel, but like not so nice to your body, to now being grateful for your body, which probably means that you have learned your lesson, broken a pattern, and now you're elevating, right? Like that's how we would probably speak in the spiritual sense of things. Now, so when you've elevated, what is the core, like maybe two things that you would probably point out that you have recognized happened to you that wouldn't happen earlier?
That wouldn't happen what?
Earlier, like when you were not grateful, life was happening, but now that you are conscious about it, is there anything? But I want to know from my audience if there is proof in I'm grateful, and maybe this is a sign that I've probably not identified, but this is a gift back from the universe.
For instance, I didn't have any morals left. That's really one thing that happened to me back then. It didn't matter. Like, for instance, if a guy that was drunk drove me home from a bar, it didn't matter. My life didn't mean that much to me. It was this state. And then even when you were in this state, like I would take things that belonged to other people from the fridge if I was hungry. Like morals were just out the window. It was so different. The world became gray. That's what it was like. And when I was a child, there were colors. So it's like the colors came back into my life.
Oh.
That's how it felt. Oh my goodness, look how amazing this tree looks outside my window. I wasn't noticing that for years. It became such a gray world. And here, I was at Harvard. I was at like this top place. Like, intellectual understanding is not enough.
Yeah.
Because I got it. I was suffering with these eating disordered behavior as a college student at Harvard, then onto medical school. I looked like a success on the outside, but that's not what it is. Who is it? Wayne Dyer. Success is an inside job. It's living a life of joy and gratitude. It's not what's happening, just how you appear. It's what you're feeling within. And that we have the power to do ourselves at any moment to bring joy into our own lives.
Bracha, you have no idea just how grateful I am to be sitting in front of you and just soaking this in, because it's literally the things that I have been dying to hear. And like, I feel like we're so aligned at this point, because I read these things, I think these things. I know that a lot of people, I'm very grateful for the people I have in my life, because sometimes the ones that I also spot out say something like, I genuinely think that when I wake up in the morning and I see a bird flying, I think the universe is doing this because it's a gift for me. Like, hey, your bird's here, and like the tree is out. But then there are people who'll be like, dude, that's crazy. And I was like, okay, I'm crazy, but I like the crazy. Like, at least I'm recognized. I like being with myself. I love being with myself. And so I think when you identify that, and also the reason I said I felt like so strongly in that moment when you said, as we're growing up, we see life in color, and then things happen and life happens, and particularly education systems. And sometimes, when you're playing professional sport or something, and then you have all these success benchmarks that were listed by the A schools. But then they do not tell us what scale to sort of see our colors in, and like if we're losing, our color sensibilities, how to bring them back. And so I think I obviously have to congratulate you for the work you're doing, because breaking that pattern, within this lifetime is already doing yourself so much good. So congratulations. I hope you have many more such moments for yourself. But we're going to move on to our next segment. This segment's going to be quick answers on whatever comes to your mind when you hear the following. So you've answered two of your favorite, well, given me two quotes that you love, but what is your go-to kindness quote or motto that you live by?
Oh, let's see. There's so many. Oh
my God. Given out two, yeah.
No, but I'll pick another one that I love. Enjoy the little things in life, because one day you will look back and realize they were the big things. Those were the big things. That's
it's
really
one of my favorites. Yeah. I think I'll probably share, even though it's not my rapid fire, but there was this thing where it says that little piece in the puzzle that is missing, that could be you for somebody. So never take yourself to be a little nothing, because you could fit somebody's puzzle and make it a complete one. Yeah.
I think that's so beautiful.
Great. So now that we've shared that, if kindness had a color, what color would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. Right away, I just come up with green. Just all this growth. Oh my goodness, the sunshine, turning the leaves, the chlorophyll. It's amazing. Green is not one of my favorite colors, but it's just such a kindness color in our world.
What is your favorite color?
Purple. Oh, I almost feel like, why are there any other colors besides purple? I love purple, all shades of purple. Yeah, but I mean, I'm so grateful that there are so many different vibrations, all these wavelengths. We all have different frequencies. These are all the colors. We're all shining different colors, our auras in the world.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. Yeah.
Great. And if kindness was a sound, what would it be and why? I have a few of these. Yeah.
I mean, I guess a song. It would be, to me, it would be a bird's chirping in the morning. Yeah.
I like that.
It's that song. The first words we say when we wake up, one of the guidelines that I follow is thank you, is the first words out of our mouth. That's that's a practice that I have. So that's what the birds are saying, and the frogs are chirping. That's in one of my books too, Remarkable Park, how all these messages are going on in the world from the animals. Even the plants are talking to each other. That's something we've just learned recently. They're communicating as well. Yes.
The plants are communicating, and I think the country that I come from also has this heritage in scientific and like Ayurvedic study and yogic study and all that, and it confirms that when you speak to plants, they can hear you and they grow better, faster. And if you stop, I actually experienced this when my grandmom passed. She used to talk to all the plants, but I think there was one plant that refused to feel better after she passed. And that's when I recognized that there was something, like I didn't quite believe it while she was doing it. I was a kid being typically like,
wow.
Yeah, it took a while. It was her favorite bonsai. She's had it for years, and it just started to wither. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and my mom speaks with it. I speak with it. Everybody thinks we're crazy, but I'm telling you, there's a science to it.
Beautiful.
Great. And now, next question. You cannot say orange. Well, try. Oh, wait, you can. If kindness was a food, which one would it be?
You're right. I'm picking it. I have
to. Harder.
I mean, it's just so amazing. The way the juiciness stays in for months is one of my favorite parts. That sweet juiciness, it's incredible. This is how we got the idea for individual packaging. The apples, the pears, the peaches, we just pick them up, take them with us. It's incredible how they're individual. And then there's the watermelon. I write about this in one of my books. It's meant for a whole bunch of people to eat together and enjoy. It's incredible. There's so much to learn from the fruits and vegetables. I teach in the books too, the carrot. If you slice them, it looks like an eye. And it's so good for our eyes. A lot of the fruits and vegetables, they have written on them what they're good for, what they're especially helpful for in the body.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the questions that we probably will get will be about the books, the food, and all the knowledge that you have. But for that, we'll have to have to subscribe to your specific expertise and links that we're going to add on to this. But going back to getting to know Bracha, the person behind all the kindness, we're going to ask you, if you had the superpower to be able to pick either of the two skills. The first skill is being able to make people instantly burst into laughter, or being able to instantly make them feel loved and cared for. Which one would you pick and why? I think I know.
For sure, loved and cared for, because that fills you with the joy to laugh, and it fills you with a lasting happiness. When you experience this, it stays with you forever. It's not something that passes as quickly as a tangy taffy. You have this for the rest of your life. When you give kindness to others, when you fill the world, bring creativity into the world, when you're under a starry, starry sky and you feel that connection with the universe, these things last forever. That loving feeling. You've got that loving feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you could give me one skill, so pretend like I'm just brand new on planet Earth and I don't know how to do what you're doing, but you're asking me to go and love and care for someone and make sure that they instantly feel it, like not feel suffocated, but what is the one gesture that you would suggest could actually make a difference?
You know, I have a book about learning disabilities, teaching children how to include children with learning disabilities. They're usually the loneliest children. And children naturally stare at a child with a visible disability. And that makes sense. They're curious. So there's another 5-letter word that also begins with S besides stare, and that's smile. If you add your smile, that smile forms a bridge. It forms a connection. That's how you do it. You can stare, but add your smile.
I love that. A smile is a bridge. I really like that. Yeah, right. And if you were made in charge of an International Kindness Day, what would you call it? What would you want the people to do on it? And can you just explain the vibe of this day for me?
Amazing. Great questions. I would just say, experience gratitude. That's it. Experience gratitude. Everybody would be thanking each other. They'd be seeing the light shining from each other. They'd be appreciating each other. It would be spreading. And like on this last page of my book, Because of a Smile, you see the sparks flying out from the entire world with shining. That's what happens. And it doesn't get boring. No, the creativity is flowing. That's what happens when you spread kindness. Yeah.
I love that. I think with you, your energy is spreading so much kindness that I'm feeling fairly hugged, even though we're so far apart. But my last question would be, you didn't name the day. What would you call the day?
I'll call it Gratitude Day, but it's
Gratitude.
It's every day. Every day is Gratitude Day.
But I think you'd be a good in charge for something like this. Like, make sure you implement it every day and go around telling people, this is Gratitude Day. You cannot be functioning that way. I think that would be a great world to grow up in.
Oh, it's called Thanksgiving, but it's every day. Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say, I think with Thanksgiving, there's a lot of I love Thanksgiving, and I really want to be invited, putting it out there, to a proper big, large table of Thanksgiving. But I think with Gratitude Day, I think if we sort of make that a whole act of, even if we remove the food aspect of it, but just be grateful for each other. Like, Thanksgiving is mostly food, right? So I want to see if people are actually grateful to each other without the added incentive. That would be a good world to live in. Yeah, I'm so grateful for you for doing this for me. And my last question at this point would be, if you had a kindness superpower, what would you sign up for? Because it's almost like you're throwing it out into the universe. So what ability would you choose for yourself?
You can guess. What would you guess? What would be my...
Manifest gratitude for everyone.
Exactly. That's it. I feel that that's my purpose now. My main purpose is to keep spreading how easy it is, how joyful it is. Once you practice it, it gets easier and easier. You know, when you go down a road the first time, it's very rough. But as you keep creating those neural pathways, it gets easier and easier to practice gratitude. So just fill up as many moments in your day as possible. Any moment that you are being grateful is a moment you're not miserable. You can't be both at the same time.
You have so many power lines. This is, yeah. You've been doing a lot of good work, and I'm so honored to be sitting here with you. And like I said, I've said this so many times. I hope you're having a good time, and your energy is very, very, very appreciated. And I do not want to leave you feeling depleted. So how you can ask me a question, or is there a feedback or anything that you want me to do for you so you feel loved back?
You are a delightful person. It's so beautiful to meet a person young like you who gets these secrets to life so early in life so that you can be spreading this. I love that we are in such opposite points in the world that it was hard for us to figure out which time zone we were both in at the same time. How beautiful it is that our hearts, our souls are connecting as if we are right next to each other when we are almost an entire world apart. And different religions, it all doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
We all are part of the same soul. So this has been an awesome experience for me. Thank you so much for lining up our times to coordinate and do this. Thank you.
No, the pleasure is all mine. And I think it is safe for me to sort of go back to where you started on your ladder, that I completely agree with everything. And I feel like we're transcending on this particular podcast in terms of the energies, the wavelength we're at. And I couldn't have been more grateful. It is towards the end of my day, but I think I'm going to be waking up smiling tomorrow as well, because it is just, I don't think you understand, but for someone like you said, I'm younger. And so I'm obviously like getting out of that prison, recognizing the road ahead of me. But for someone like yourself to just be transparent and honest and make this time for me is already, it means the world to me. So thank you so much, Bracha. I really appreciate you. And we're going to share this with my audience really soon. But I hope you have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be together. Thank you.